Welcome back.
Welcome to another episode. We have another guest on the podcast today, which is very exciting. We are going to be chatting to Jess Robinson today, who is also known as Raising Hallie Olivia online. She is a mum influencer. She's actually very interesting to talk to because she has another job outside of social media and also does this as well. So she's got a lot on her plate and we talk to her about all of that today. So it's a fun episode and I think you guys are going to really enjoy it. So let's just jump straight in.
Welcome, Jess. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me on.
So we're just going to kick off the episode. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, how many kids have you got?
So I am from Brisbane. I've got two kids. I've got a 2-year-old girl, Hallie, and a 1-year-old boy, Lennox. And we, live in Brisbane with my husband. I am a content creator part-time and I also work part-time as well.
Amazing. So tell us a little bit about how you started in the social media industry.
So I first started over 2 years ago. So back then I was a first-time mum. I had a little baby girl who had a ton of outfits that I just wanted to take photos of her all the time. So that's where it really started. So I kind of fell into it by accident. I was literally just sharing her outfit photos and that's where everything sort of started for me.
So it's quite clear you have a really, really good community online of mums that follow you and you just seem to have a really close, tight-knit group of people in your community. How did you kind of gain that? Is that through when you started posting photos of Hallie with the outfits? Do you think you just naturally started gaining a lot of the same type of followers?
I think so. It has, it did start back then. And I guess when I started ramping it up with Reels, when Reels first became a thing, I think I gained quite a lot through there. And as I started working with more brands, I've just kind of made more relationships. But the community on Instagram is so important to me. Everyone is we're also supportive of each other. And that's just kind of grown as my page has grown, really.
I feel like nowadays the community online has changed so much since it has back in the day when you could just literally post a pretty photo and everyone would like it. And now it's more about talking about your struggles and being really raw and real with your followers. Would you say that's how you've changed online to now?
100%. I think so. I'm very open about anything related to motherhood. So I'm very open about my struggles, especially on my stories. Anyone who follows me gets a full rundown of anything that's going on in my life. And I think being open and relatable is so important in creating that community because I think if I'm following somebody, I want to be able to relate to that person. I like when I, am going through a similar thing to what they're going through, where I can relate to them and they're just,
I think, especially in the mum community, this is something I've noticed you're really, really good with. Being a mum can feel super isolating, especially as a first-time mum. And I feel like following you make other mums feel a lot less isolated because you do talk about the real and raw side of motherhood. So, did you, have you always, because obviously I think I've been following you for maybe a year and a half now. I think I started following you just before you had Lennox because we were due around similar times. That's how I found your page. And since then I feel like you've been really raw and real online. But have you always been like that, or did you kind of start posting some more stuff other than just outfit photos of Hallie?
When I very first started, it was literally just the outfits. But I found really when I started, I was following sort of similar pages and nobody really talked about the struggles. So when I very first started, I was super lonely, first time mum, wasn't working. It was during COVID, there was not a whole lot to do, not a whole lot of places to go for the baby. None of my friends had kids. So I found it really hard because I guess people portray online that motherhood is just so blissful and easy and look at my cute baby, and it's none of the actual hard stuff that you don't really know about until you're there. So I think,
Yeah.
when I very first started, I wasn't really posting any of that stuff, but I've definitely, as I've gone through, I've seen that, not a lot of people talk about it, but I've started to, I guess, well, a long time ago now, because I just think it's so important for people to know what it's really like and feel like they're not alone. Like, everything that you see is so curated. So I guess I always need to make sure that I am sharing my real life, because I appreciate it when others do. So
You definitely do that well. You do that really, really well. And I think that's probably one of the things that makes you stand out amongst other mum creators, is like you do keep it very real on your stories. And I think that's what a lot of people appreciate about you.
I love seeing that stuff. I absolutely love it. Makes me feel normal.
Same.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's go back to when you did first start in the social media industry. How did you get your first paid partnership?
My first paid partnership was through Tribe. So back then, you had to have your 3,000 followers before you could download Tribe and start using it. And somebody...
Can we just give a little rundown of what Tribe is? Because there's probably a few listeners that don't know what Tribe is. So it's kind of like a platform for influencers to sign up to.
Yeah.
And you probably know a bit more about it than I do. I haven't used it for a very long time. So you said you've got to have 3,000 followers, is that right?
Yeah, so you can start using the platform once you've got 3,000 followers. So basically it is an app that brands will post a job on with the description, like what you need to do, what sort of content they're after. And back then there was no pitching. You literally had to go out and buy the product, take your photos, then submit it. So this was going back probably 2 years, and then you just have to wait and see if they liked your content or if they declined it. But my first job was through there.
Gosh.
Yeah, and it was for...
And wait, sorry, did you get paid for this?
Yeah. Oh, well, if
they liked your content.
If they liked your content, if they accept your content, they'd pay you and you'd add your fee to the product. But if they didn't like your content, you didn't get paid, and you'd actually...
Same.
Yeah, I know. This was going back. They don't do it like that anymore, I don't think.
This is all so new to me.
Yeah.
I did not know that. Wow, okay.
Yeah, so I was
That's
just
so
crossing my fingers, and it was for Baby Love nappies. Was the first job. So I think my daughter was almost 1, and we used the brand anyway, and I came across it on there. So I gave it a go, and that was my first one, and they came back pretty quickly and they approved it. So that was my first one.
So how many followers would you say you had around that time?
It would have been, I reckon it would have been around 3,000, or not much more than 3,000. Yeah, it was right at the start. Yeah.
Yeah.
And how did you know what rates to set in the early stages? Like, did the Tribe platform kind of give you like a ballpark, or did you have to figure it out yourself?
They give you a ballpark for like the number, I guess maybe it's like 3,000 to 10,000, like a scale of sort of the level of influencer. And then they give you a figure, and then you just kind of have to work it out for yourself. So I kind of just did it based off that table, and I guess with like, that was my very first one. So I guess I used that table going forward for other paid jobs that I did afterwards, because that was the very first one, but then they just kept coming after that, like pretty much straight away. They just kept going. Yeah.
And then your platform just kept growing from there. Like, I know you've said previously it was all like your reels that have like done really well. You feel like that's kind of what's brought the traffic in?
100%, yes. Back then, I don't think a lot of people were making reels, but there were the baby reels that I used to make used to go absolutely off. So I'm talking like anywhere. I think my highest ones have 8 million views.
I actually looked at your profile the other day and saw your views were like huge.
People would go nuts for the baby outfit reels. That was everybody's favorite.
Wow.
But it all kind of grew very quickly from there, and brands noticed them as well. So then we got a lot of like kids clothing collaborations through that as well, which was very helpful back then when I wasn't really working and kids go through so many clothes. So yeah, it was
Did you have any like inspiration from other creators that you like looked at and used for your content?
Back then, not really. Like literally I just used what was in my daughter's cupboard. And then you'd be scrolling through reels and you'd see different transitions from people that you've never seen before, like when you're just scrolling through the tab. And then I'd think, oh, this audio sounds good. This transition looks good. And then I'd just sort of replicate that and they would just go off.
So you were on maternity leave at the time. Obviously, like with Hallie.
Yeah.
And when you started earning money, how did that feel? Were you like, hang on, maybe I can do this as a job? Like, because you kind of fell into it, didn't you? You didn't really go into it with the intention of doing it for work.
No, I never did. But once I started, so my husband just kind of thought it was all a big joke before I started earning money from it. And then once I started, it felt amazing. Like there was money for actually myself to spend on myself. Because obviously when you're on mat leave, sometimes things are tight and, babies cost a lot. So it felt good, I guess, for me to be contributing to the household as well. Like obviously you contribute when you're at home, but to be able to contribute financially and be able to have your kids home with you was really good. It was a good feeling.
Yeah. So how do you juggle it all? Because I know you said you had a part-time job, you do content creation, and you're a mum of 2 kids. How do you juggle it all?
I literally don't. I don't juggle it all. It's all just, everything's just all over the place. Like I'm very unorganized. I kind of just literally have to wing it. Like there is no, it's hard to juggle. I guess daycare days are helpful for getting content done. But it is a lot. But I literally just wing it. There is no balance. There is no juggle. It's just like,
I feel like that is such a typical mum answer. Like every time someone asks me a similar question, I'm like, what do you mean? I'm not I'm dying. Like I'm literally suffocating.
I know. That's exactly right. You just literally, whatever the day throws at you, you just do it. And then you just get to the end of the day and you're like, okay, I survived.
I do feel like a lot of followers online probably see you be a content creator, have a job as well, and be a mum, and they probably question, oh my god, how does she do it? So for you to say that is like...
A lot of people can relate to that.
Hopefully that makes other people feel better because, I really have no idea, to be honest. And if somebody...
Just winging it.
If somebody looks like they're doing these things and they've got their life together, I feel like they probably don't. They're just not sharing that they don't.
Yeah.
So,
Or they have like 24/7 babysitters helping them out, or like nannies, or someone in the background that's just like doing the hard yards for them, because honestly, I don't think anyone is really nailing it.
I don't think so either. That would just be, that would be the dream though, to have someone to help all the time. Imagine how much you'd get done.
Honestly, all the little things too, like even just going and grabbing yourself a glass of water when you want it.
Yeah.
Like imagine that.
I know.
Just being like, I'm thirsty, I'm going to go get some water.
I know. How blissful. The thought is just blissful.
Literally. Okay, so obviously, like you said, you started with a lot of the reels and like the baby outfit photos, but your social media now is quite different. Like you share a lot more of yourself, a lot more like lifestyle content. How did that transition happen, and why did it happen? Why did you decide to start branching out into other areas?
Well, I have noticed, I guess, how old's my child? Well, my second child's over 1 now, so he's a year and 3 months or something. I noticed when I was pregnant with him, I realized pretty much, I feel like everyone was sort of posting the same things. Everyone was posting, it was all baby photos, all baby outfits. That's everyone that I followed, which is totally fine. Like I loved seeing that stuff, but I just wanted to do something different. I wanted to include myself because I loved following the pages that were more than just the baby. They had, you get to know the mum, you can talk to the mum, like, like I love when other people include themselves. So I started doing that. probably just before I got pregnant with Lennox. And yeah, then during my pregnancy it was like a lot revolved around myself for pregnancy, partnerships, and then the same after he was born as well. And then I guess as the kids get older, they're not easy to take. They're not easy to take photos of. They don't necessarily want to be in photos. My daughter, if she doesn't want to be in content, she tells me. She's like, I don't want to do it, and that's fine. That's totally fine. So
Bless.
yeah, so I guess that's why there is more of me now, because I want to, like, my audience are mainly mums, so I always want to keep my content relevant for other mums, because that's where I started and that's who follows me, and I guess they're growing with me. Their kids are growing with my kids. I want it to all be relevant, but also it's super hard to get photos of your kids. So I kind of just,
it is.
I kind of just have to put myself out there instead now.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, you've done a very good job at transitioning your content, because, like, I was scrolling back through when we were planning this podcast episode, we were going back through your Instagram just to, like, you know, spark some ideas for questions to ask you, and you've done a really, really good job at transitioning that content from purely, like, baby related stuff to yourself. And like you said, your followers kind of grow with you, and their lifestyles change with you. So I think that's probably had a big part of it too, is like you still share mum life, and a lot of people can still relate to that. And then obviously, like, the baby content kind of starts to fizzle out as they get older, and they're like, no, I don't want to be in a photo, no mum. Or they throw a tantrum and throw themselves on the ground photo shoot, and you're like, okay, this isn't working.
Exactly right. And also I feel like with myself, like, now that my kids are a little bit older, I can sort of spend more time on myself doing things that I enjoy. So whether that's beauty things, you know, doing things for myself. And I feel like other mums who follow me are also getting to that point as well. Like, I love seeing makeup routines, hair routines, any beauty related content. And I feel like, other mums with kids a similar age who are also finding themselves might want to see that sort of thing too.
Definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
We've noticed you do a lot of Q&As online, and a lot of your followers are so interested in social media and how you start and all that kind of thing. Can you give a bit of advice on, like, how you would go about it if you were considering going into the industry, being a social media influencer? Would
you do anything differently, actually, if you were to start now? Like, would you do anything differently?
I feel like, yes, I would, definitely. I do get a lot of questions about that, and how to start, where to start, how I started. But if I were to start now, and you guys know exactly what I mean, if someone were to start in the industry now, it would be completely different than if you started 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago,
so
like I did.
Now, hey?
Definitely, and even longer for you, Erin, because you've been doing this a lot longer than me. If I were to be starting from scratch, starting right now, I think I would start through UGC, because obviously you don't need a following, you just need to be good at what you do. You just have to have good in front of the camera, an eye for detail, love what you do. That's where I would start now if I was starting from scratch. And if anybody were to ask me where they should start, that is 100% what I would say. That's where I would go.
I think it's good too, because through UGC you can start to kind of build a little portfolio of content that you can post on your socials if you want for everyone else to see too. Like, it's completely up to you. Obviously UGC is primarily for the brand, but it's a good way of building up your socials and getting some recognition on socials without the pressure of, like, I have to earn money, or I have to do this and I have to build followers. Like, it's just, that was never a thing when I started at all. So I think that's a really, like, useful piece of advice for anyone. UGC is huge now. It's massive.
It's growing so quickly, and same thing when I first started, it really wasn't a thing either. But literally you don't need a following, you just need to want to do it and just do it. Like, if someone were to do it well, and if you want to do it, just jump in. Like, there's literally nothing to lose. You can do this on the side. You can still be working. You can try it out, see if you like it. If you don't, there's no reason not to start. Anyone can do it, really.
I do have to say, though, it is hard.
Oh,
like, I don't think I could do it, to be honest, because I shit myself every time I get in front of the camera.
I think it definitely takes a while to warm up to being in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Like you have to have a certain type of
personality.
Personality and just like confidence to even put yourself in front of a camera. And I think the hard part is then looking back on that footage and watching yourself on camera and being okay to distribute that out to like a brand or something, because we're so critical of ourselves.
But
in general,
no one else could notice half the stuff that you would notice.
Exactly.
In a video.
Definitely.
Yeah.
No,
it takes a bit to warm up.
agree. It does. Even now doing anything that I have to be talking in front of, or even just have my face in front of, it takes me like 50 takes to get the first one. And then once I'm like all good with that, then I'm kind of like, okay, it's all good from here. But yeah, I know what you mean. It takes a bit to warm up.
I've been doing this for 7 years, and sometimes I'm still in front of the camera for 2 hours trying to get a 30-second video. So it's just one of those things. Like, you have good days and you have bad days. Like, you can't always be on 24/7 as a content creator.
Yeah, I agree. Yes, definitely.
So, what are your goals with influencing nowadays? Like, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
In the next 5 years, oh god, it could be anywhere.
Or 2. You can like,
or 2, or 1. Like,
just in the future. Yeah, I would love to do more of it. I'd love to do more and then reduce my employment hours, I guess. More of this, less of that, because this makes me a lot happier.
What's your biggest piece of advice? Like, what did you wish you knew before entering the social media industry?
I wish that I knew how much work was involved. So not that that's a bad thing. There is a lot of time and effort that goes into creating content. It's not just the pretty picture that you see. It's not just a quick video that you see. There is a lot of hours that goes into it. So I guess for anyone wanting advice on starting out, just be aware that it's not an easy job. It's not just as simple as it seems. There is a lot that goes on behind the scenes.
And I think that's a big thing that is perceived online with the social media.
We've done a whole podcast episode on this topic because I think so many people from the surface level think that being an influencer is just so easy because it's just posting photos online. But what you don't see is all that background stuff of, and we spoke about it in this episode, is like the briefs, the contracts, the negotiating rates, there's all this stuff that goes on in the background. The photo that you see online is literally the last step of all of it, really. It's the surface level thing.
And I have to say, I have been guilty of being someone who follows a lot of influencers online before I met Erin, and thinking, oh, they're so lucky, they just get to post a photo and get paid for it, or they get to travel here and they get to travel there for their job. Like, it's so easy to just assume that what an influencer does is easy, but it really isn't.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes on.
Yeah.
Definitely, and I felt the exact same way before I started in the industry. That's all I thought it was too. I thought, this isn't a real job. How do people get paid for this? And then once I started, I'm like, yes, okay, well, that's why they get paid. It does make sense. There's a lot behind the scenes that we don't realize.
It's literally the way of the world now too. Like,
it's just the way that the world is going. Online, like making money online is where I think most business is going to be.
100%.
Yeah,
so,
I agree. Definitely. It's like the way of the future, the jobs of the future.
Definitely.
All right. Should we jump into Spill the 3?
Yup.
Okay, so we're going to start with our Spill the 3 segment now. So these are going to be some like kind of rapid quick fire questions. You don't have to get too much into detail, but we want some juicy responses.
Okay.
So are you ready?
I'm nervous. All right, I'm ready.
All right. What's the worst interaction you've had with a brand?
So, worst interaction would have to be, would have been about a year ago now. I had a brand reach out to me directly through Instagram They were a handbag brand, like large handbags that you can, the multi-purpose bags that you can pretty much use for whatever. Anyway, chatted, sent my rates to her, and she said, oh yes, I want this package. She specified exactly what she wanted. So we had agreed on the price. We'd agreed on the exact content that she was after, and then she kind of just ghosted me. And then a few days later, I was thinking, I never got tracking for this package. I want to be organized to figure out when I'm meant to be filming this stuff. Messaged her and said, have you sent it out yet? I'm really looking forward to working with you. And she comes back and she's like, oh, we found some other creators that were willing to do it for free. So we're not going to be paying for this campaign.
Oh my God. Wow.
That's the only time that's ever happened. And I was like, you know what? The people, I don't even want to.
That has actually left me dumbfounded.
Do you know, yes. Kayla and I have spoken about this previously, the ongoing effect that can have in this industry when people decide to do content for free for brands. Obviously, there's gifting collabs they have a place in the industry, and I can understand where they are useful sometimes. But in situations like this, it makes it really hard for people that do this for a living and that deserve to be earning money from creating content when other people are just like, you know what, I'll just do it for free. Because then brands do that and they're like, why would I pay an influencer when this one is going to go, literally market my product for free for me?
The fact that she even admitted
literally,
that.
The fact
I know.
that she said it.
She was so open about it too.
That's a little bit too honest.
Yeah, 100%. And I was absolutely horrified. And I think that's kind of where I thought, you know what, there's people out there doing it for free, even though, they think they're doing the brand a favor, they think they're doing a favor for somebody. They, at the same time, they are not meaning to do this, obviously. I've done Contra, if there's a big product that I really want, I'm more than happy to do Contra on something that is a big product that I'm going to be using a lot. But people who are out there wanting to do it for free for something like that just ruins it for the rest of us who are literally just trying to use this platform to make a living. They ruin it for the rest of us, which is
I do have to know
frustrating.
What was your response?
Yeah, did you say anything back?
I wish I could remember, but I probably just left her on red, because I just remember being absolutely mortified at the time. I doubt that I would have gone back with anything. I was in the thick of postpartum. I would have been mad about it, and probably if I'd replied, it would have been super nasty. So I'm pretty sure I didn't say anything. Didn't warrant a response.
What gets me with that is the content that she probably received from these people that did it for free was probably great, and they could have been charging for that too. They probably don't realize that they could have been making money from this. And yes, it's nice to do people favors, and it's
a favor's not going to get you anywhere.
Correct. I always say
in life.
If a brand reaches out to me and is like, hey, can you post about this for free? I'm like, I'm sorry, but a handbag isn't going to pay my mortgage. This is my work. This is my business. If you're wanting my content, you obviously see value in it.
Yeah. They like it enough to reach out to you in the first place.
Correct.
Yeah.
All right, that was juicy. Thank you for that. Loved that
That's
one.
All right. I wish I could remember the name of the brand. See if
you don't even remember them.
I can't even remember who it was, or I'd go back and check what I said.
Yeah, right. No, that's okay. That's all right. We don't need super juicy detail like that. All right. Next one. What are some red flags that deter you from working with brands? If a brand reaches out to you and you say no, why? Why do you say no?
Number one red flag is if they want contract for something that I don't want or need. If they try to talk me down on rates, that's 100% a red flag. That would be, probably the biggest one for me. Trying to get more out of me than what my rates are. For example, if I've got a package for, you know, a feed post and a story, they say, oh, okay, but can you do 3 stories? Or, oh, can you do it for half the price because I'm getting this extra piece of content? Like, no.
Yeah.
It just, I find a lot like that, but I find, a lot reach out and they do just want contra. And I just, I feel like all creators should be paid for the work that they do. So any who are just, a big red flag if they aren't willing to pay their creators, or if they want to talk down on rates, especially if it's significant.
And it's like literally what we just touched on. You're obviously reaching out to this creator because you like their content and you want, you want your products in their content. So pay for it. Like, that's how business works. So it's it's a very big double standard in my mind when they're like, oh, I really love your content and would love to work with you, but like, I don't want to pay you. Yeah. You're like, what?
Oh, yeah, I know. Or they say, we'll gift you this in exchange for this, this, and this. Then it's not a gift, is it? It's not a gift if you're literally working for it. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the word gift, when brands use the word gift in exchange for, that just grinds my gears because it's not a present.
Red flag just goes on, doesn't it?
Yeah, that is the biggest red flag.
Okay, last one. Last question. What is your least favourite thing about being an influencer?
My least favourite thing would have to be, there's probably a few things. I feel like there are people in my life and people that I know that think this isn't a real job, that don't take it seriously, just kind of think that I just post photos and don't do anything. The other part of it is potentially losing out on work because of people who use engagement groups. So when people are tagging these pages or doing it privately, brands I feel like it can go one of two ways. I feel like brands can see that and think, wow, this person has amazing reach, amazing engagement, like they've got this amazing community, but you know that this person is using engagement groups, like, or they've tagged an engagement group.
How do engagement group, like, how does that work? Is that a really stupid question? Is it like a private group of people that, like, are all, like, agreeing to liking and engaging?
Yes. So there, as far as I'm aware, there are 2 different types. So one of them is the pages that people will tag in their posts. I think we all know.
Oh, like they tag it in the post publicly.
They literally tag it in the post. And then I think a term of the, like, using this group is going through all of the tag posts and liking and commenting on all of them before you can actually tag them in your own post, if that makes sense. And then I know, yes, so people use those, and there are people who tag multiple pages. They obviously get a lot more engagement than they would otherwise. And then there are private ones as well. So I have been in one a couple of years ago with, like, just a handful of people, and it was when we were very first started out, and we would comment and like on each other's posts, but this was a long time ago. So I know that they are still out there though, because I know that personally know people are using them, that I think they're on a bit of a larger scale now than when I had my group of 7 people or whatever it was back in the day. But I feel like it can go one of 2 ways. Brands could see it and think, this person's got great engagement, they're going to produce great results for us, we would rather work with this person, as opposed to this person, like, say, for example, me, whose engagement might not be as good as someone who's using an engagement group, but it's all legitimate, it's all genuine, and they can see exactly what they're going to get. Whereas if they choose to go and partner with someone who uses an engagement group, they could potentially not notice and just think, you know, I'll work with this person because it's going to achieve better results, when in actual fact it's not.
At the end of the day, a lot of marketing campaigns are to drive sales, and if you're in an engagement group, those people are just simply engaging with your content. They're not going to buy the product that you're promoting. Whereas you, like you were saying, for you, your engagement might seem like it's less compared to these other people who are in the groups, but your followers are more likely to make the sales and purchase the products that you're promoting, because it's an authentic, genuine connection that they have with your content.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that's where it's frustrating. Yeah.
It is frustrating. And it also, I realized recently, can go the other way if there are other pages similar to mine that interact with my posts, if they comment on my posts and like my posts, and I see that they're interacting with my page and I also like what they're posting, I'm going to also engage back with them if I like their content. And a brand that I really wanted to work with they came back to me and said that they think that I'm using them. They, see comments from other people and just kind of assume that I'm in an engagement group when I guess...
Oh my gosh, when it's just your community online.
It's literally just my community, because there are so many people out there, because the engagement groups exist, that brands can assume that you use one and then, think, I don't want to work with this person because they've got all this fake engagement. So the fact that there are engagement groups out there can hinder the rest of us who aren't using them, because people can assume if we're receiving comments or engagement that we must be using one like everybody else, if that makes sense.
That is so frustrating.
I don't even know engagement groups were a thing anymore. Like, I did not know that.
I think they are on quite a large scale as well. But the pages that people tag,
I'm really shocked by that. Yeah. I'm so shocked
Have you
that
not
people
noticed
tag them
before? Have you not noticed?
I thought it was just like a Facebook group that you join and then you talk to each other and you're like, all right, let's comment on each other's stuff. Like, I think that's just what it was.
No, it's on some of them are on quite a large scale. So yes, there's a lot out there. But it's so obvious when you tag the page, but I think a lot of brands don't realise, or they don't check, or they don't know that they're a thing, or they don't know what the page is. Of course, they're always on private. The engagement group pages are always on private, so it's not always
I would never have thought to check. I didn't know about them. So for a lot of brands probably don't even know that they exist, and that you can literally, it's as simple as going and checking tagged stuff. Now that I know that, I think I'm going to be looking at everyone.
You'll be scrolling and you'll be looking.
Oh my god, they're using an engagement group.
Yes. So yes, I'm very, very openly against them. And somebody actually asked me in my question box last week if I used them, and I sent a very blunt response to this question.
I saw that.
Answering it.
That was a good response, though.
I lost about 20 followers that
really?
night. I didn't check.
Why?
Check after that, because I think people were probably offended by it.
Because
they read it and thought,
groups.
She might be talking about me, or I do that.
I see.
She's having a dig.
I mean,
oh well. You don't need that.
Oh well, yeah, I know.
I mean, I feel like you've explained it really well in this episode. Like, it's very warranted why you're against it, and definitely. I am on board with you. I agree with everything you've said. Like, as someone that works in the industry, and I rely heavily on that really genuine, authentic engagement to get jobs.
Yes, definitely.
I'm on board. So anyone that's not on board is maybe just not your person, and that's okay.
No. You need the community, and the real community are so important when this is your job. You
Especially
need
nowadays.
To have, 100%. You need to have that community, and you need to be open. You need to be transparent, and that's it's so important.
We've said a million times in other episodes, and our last guest, Maddie, also said this. It's not about followers anymore. You could have 100,000 followers, but if your engagement and the people that follow you don't feel connected to you, that 100,000 number means nothing. So it's really about that genuine, authentic connection, and that's what brands are looking for now too. So it's it's definitely a very important part of it.
I definitely, I agree. Brands want to see that your following is going to trust your judgment. It doesn't matter about the number. I totally agree with you. Yeah.
All right. Well, I think
to finish up, give us your handles. Tell.
I was like, what are you doing?
Spray something on you.
I'm like, oh god, I don't know what's coming.
I know.
What's
I'm
your
like,
handles?
is there a fourth question? My handles. So I only
Where can
have
people find
Instagram.
you?
I only have Instagram. I have not yet started my TikTok, but it is coming once I build up enough videos of just like my horrific, mum life, relatable stuff.
People like that. They like
People
that, especially
do.
on TikTok.
They do. So it's
The
coming.
more
But my
chaotic, the
handle,
better.
yeah, 100%. I love seeing that stuff, and it's just like it's
Same.
funny that that's my life because other
Yeah.
people are laughing, and I'm like, this is awful. Anyway, my handle is Raising Hallie Olivia. You might need to
you have a favourite child, don't you?
definitely,
I'm saying that very
and
sarcastically.
it's not her.
I've seen someone ask you that in your Q&As before about your like username, so I thought that was funny. And like changing it is like that's your brand now, so it's not about like who's your favorite child and like
no, absolutely not. I made it before the other one was even born. But also my name is so common. My first name and my last name, my married name and my maiden name are so common. There is literally no variations of my name that are even available. So I'm just going to stick with it and run with it because I wouldn't know what to make it otherwise.
I mean, it's who you're known as online now, so it's your brand. Like, that's how people recognize you. So, it makes sense to just keep it as is.
Yeah, whether they think I have a favourite child or not. Let's just keep it as
We'll spark some rumours with this podcast episode.
Yes.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us. They know where to find you now, so everyone go and follow Jess. She is a bunch of fun, as you can tell from this episode.
Thank you.
And we will chat to you guys later. Bye.